Hey guys, I'm Miss Anna, the Youth Services Assistant Librarian for Decatur Public Library, and welcome to Bookie Bakes. In Bookie Bakes, we'll focus on the book series, and then I'll show you a quick and easy snack for you to make at home to go along with the book. Today, we're talking about H.A. Rey, the creator of Curious George. After we talk a little bit about him, we're going to make a snack that any monkey would love to take a bite of: chocolate peanut butter banana bites. Then I'm going to share with you one of the coolest things ever. But first, let's talk about our author. H.A. Rey was born in September of 1898 in Hamburg, Germany. His full name is Hans Augusto Reyersbach, a very German name. He later shortened his name from Reyersbach to Rey when he was living in Brazil, because it was very hard for the Brazilians to pronounce Reyersbach. For this video, I'm just going to call him Mr. Rey. Now, like Eric Carle and Norman Bridwell, who we've talked about before, Mr. Rey was very artistic as a young boy. He loved drawing and painting, and one of his favorite places to go was the Hagenbeck Zoo. The zoo was nearby his home in Germany, and he would often go for visits with his brother and two sisters. He loved observing the animals there, the way they moved, the way they ate, the way they climbed trees and played with each other. And afterwards, he'd go home and draw what he saw. Now, it wasn't until his mid-40s, in 1941, that Curious George was published. But from the time that Mr. Rey was a young boy visiting the zoo in Germany to a published author in New York City, he did a lot of living. And these are a few things that Mr. Rey did before becoming a published author. He was drafted into the German army and served 3 years in World War I. He was a college student. He was an accountant. He traveled around South America selling sinks and bathtubs. And he was also an illustrator. And when I say illustrator here, I don't mean like he drew pictures like Curious George. I mean he drew pictures for maps and posters. For example, after World War I, he returned home and got a job designing posters for the local circus. One thing that I couldn't believe when I was reading about him was how many Curious George books he and his wife wrote. Would you like to take a guess? How many Curious George books do you think that H.A. Rey and Margaret, his wife, wrote? Is it A, 7 books, B, 40 books, or C, 270 books? Shout it out. What? Did you say B? B? Okay. B, 40 books. No. You are actually thinking of Norman Bridwell, the author of Clifford, I think there. He wrote about 40 books. Guess again. A, 7 books, or C, 270 books. Shout it out. Let's hear it. C? Did you say C? Is that what they said? C? Okay. 270 books. No. I know what it is. You're thinking of our Tommy DePaola episode. Tommy DePaola, remember the author of Stregonona? He authored and illustrated over 270 books, and that's what you're thinking of there. So what do we have left? A, 7 books. You want to see what it says? Yep, that's right. 7. There are only 7 original Curious George stories written by H.A. and Margaret Rey. The first was published in 1941 in America, and of course the story has been continued by other authors and illustrators. I could not find an exact number of how many Curious George books in total there are. I looked and I tried to find an answer, but I couldn't. But I did read that the original 7 books are so popular that they have never been out of print, and that's really impressive. Another surprising fact that I found while researching Mr. Rey was, did you know that George wasn't originally the monkey's name? His name was supposed to be Beefy, and it reminded me of Clifford. Clifford's name was originally supposed to be Tiny, and I think we talked about that in the Norman Bridwell episode. But in England, George's name wasn't George. His name was actually changed to Zozo. Why was his name changed to Zozo, you ask Timber? In the 1940s, George VI was King of England, and the publisher didn't want to offend the King of England. So that was pretty cool too. Now, when I tried to find out what type of snack might be Curious George's favorite, I couldn't find an answer. Instead, we're going to be making a snack with bananas, which is a fruit that most monkeys enjoy, and humans too. Our chocolate peanut butter banana bites only have 3 ingredients, and I bet you can guess what those 3 ingredients are just by their name. So, if you're ready to make a snack, let's get started. And afterwards, I'm going to share with you one of the coolest things ever. For this recipe, you will need bananas, peanut butter. I'm using chunky, crunchy peanut butter, but you can use creamy. And you will need melted chocolate. So to start us off, we are going to cut a banana up. We're going to peel it. Once you have peeled your banana, we are going to slice it into rounds about 1/4 inch thick. You might have an adult help you for this. Alright. To make our sandwiches, we are going to get peanut butter and put it on top of the banana, like so. And then place another half. Whoops, it's a little slippery. We're gonna place another half on top to make a little sandwich. Whoops, oh, this is so slippery. All right, so let's try this again. On one half, you're going to put your peanut butter, like that. And then get another half and just stick it on top, push it down like a little sandwich, and then put it on your parchment paper. And you're just gonna repeat this until all of these are little sandwiches. All right, once you have all your sandwiches made, now it's time to put them in the freezer for about an hour. After an hour of cooling, you will melt your chocolate in the microwave. I happen to have a little candy melter that I melted mine in. We are going to dip the banana sandwich into the chocolate. So let's see how this goes. Get a spoon to grab it out of. All right, it's not perfect, but there is one. All right, I'm not sure why the chocolate didn't want to stick to that one, but here you have it, chocolate coated peanut butter and banana bites. Now we're going to put them in the freezer for 15 more minutes, and when they come out, they should be ready to eat. And there you have it. These are what my chocolate peanut butter banana bites look like. I hope you have fun making these at home with a parent or an older sibling. They were a lot messier than I had anticipated, but they were still fun to make. Now I'm going to put those here. And now I want to share with you one of the coolest things. So remember when I said that H.A. and Margaret Ray only wrote 7 original Curious George books? These are our library copies of those books, and I want to tell you what I found the other day. In my research for this video, I read The Journey That Saved Curious George, The True Wartime Escape of Margaret and H.A. Ray by Louise Borden. This book is a 6th grade level biography on the couple and how they escaped Europe during World War II. They were in Paris, and the German army kept getting closer and closer and closer to where they were. The city was getting more chaotic the closer the German army got. Refugees from other countries were fleeing the Germans and passing through the city. Paris had even declared themselves an open city, which meant that there would be no barricades set up to keep the enemy army out. Both H.A. and Margaret were German-born Jews, and they had to leave their city for their safety. But they didn't have a car, and the train had stopped running. So they ended up fleeing Paris on bicycles, and they rode these bikes many, many miles and to safety. And this was a gem of a book. I totally enjoyed this book. It's a remarkable story, and I would definitely recommend this book. But one of the original 7 Curious George books just so happens to be Curious George Rides a Bike, and I have it here on a whim because I had just finished reading the story. I was compelled to read Curious George Rides a Bike, and inside, let me set this tree up. It does not want to stay up. Because I had just finished the story, I wanted to read Curious George Rides a Bike. And inside this book, I found a picture, which is the really cool thing that I want to show you. So in this picture, Curious George is performing in the circus, and at the bottom corner of the page, hidden in the crowd, is a man drawing the little monkey he sees before him. And I think that this man is H.A. Ray himself drawn into the picture. Here is my picture of the author, H.A. Ray. Do you see the resemblance between the two? They both have round glasses. They're both smoking a pipe. And I think that is the author. And I thought that was just the coolest thing. If I hadn't read Louise Borden's book about their escape on bicycles, I would not have picked up this book like I did. It was a complete fluke, but I thought that was the coolest thing, and I wanted to share that with you. Now that is all that I have to share with you today on H.A. Ray and Curious George. I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed this video so much. I enjoyed researching all of this for you. So I hope you have fun making your chocolate peanut butter banana bites and reading a Curious George book. Bye guys.